Hi, I'm Shay.
And I'm Hannah, and we're International.
Today, we're cooking Romanian food. Romania is the largest country in Southeastern Europe. Dense forests, medieval fortresses, and the distinctive colorful traditional dress are some of the great things Romania is known for. But one of its best kept secrets is its incredible food. Romanian cuisine has been influenced by Turkish, Hungarian, and other Slavic cuisines, but it has maintained its own culinary identity. One of the most popular dishes is Mămăligă, a delicious, savory cornmeal porridge, and pork is the most popular meat. Today, we have prepared Romania on a plate. Tochitură, a grand combination of multiple varieties of pork, served on a bed of Mămăligă, and topped with a fried egg and sheep's cheese. On the side, we made Zacusca, an eggplant and red pepper dip, seasoned to perfection and a perfect accompaniment to the fatty meat. And finally, we prepared another holiday favorite, Chiftele de Ciuperci, a meatless meatball made with fresh mushrooms and dipped in sour cream.
Let's get started.
How do I describe Tochitură? I think the best way to do this for me is that it's a celebration of pork. This is a dish that's traditionally made with like many different kinds of pork, and it's turning out to be a super promising dish. This is a pretty forgiving dish in the sense that the quantities are kind of like eyeballed, and at least that's what I did, and this is gonna be delicious. So what I have over here is 3 different kinds of pork. First of all, I have the pork ribs, and this is about half a rack. Oops. And I have some smoked sausage. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't live close to a Romanian store, and it's really hard for me to find Romanian sausage. But what I did was I found a smoked Ukrainian sausage. This is supposedly fairly close to the Romanian sausage because I checked the ingredients. I also have like about 6 strips of thick cut bacon. If your wife is not looking, feel free to add a couple more. Since all of these different kinds of pork have a slightly different cooking time, I'm gonna give the ribs a little bit of a head start. You can do this in a pot on the stovetop, but I'm just gonna use my Instant Pot. So this is half a rack of ribs. It's about 8 ribs, yeah, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll put it in my Instant Pot with like 1 cup of water. I'm gonna have to wash my hands because my hands are porky. Cook it on high pressure for 30 minutes. While my ribs are cooking, I'm gonna fry up some bacon. So this is gonna do 2 things. First of all, it's gonna add the bacony goodness that our dish needs. And the second thing is it'll give me a bunch of lard, which is a fancy word for bacon fat. So this is 6 strips of bacon, like I said. Saute this real quick. Keep stirring your bacon so it cooks evenly. Have I told you before how much I love bacon? So it looks like my bacon's done. I'm gonna pull this bacon out and look at the amount of fat that is left over in this pot. All right, so my bacon has been fried. My ribs have been cooked. I pulled these out of the slow cooker, as you can see, and I just cut it into singular ribs so that it'll be easier to cook. I also have a fairly small pot, so it makes everything kind of easier. I also reserved the broth from the ribs because I'm gonna use this in the stew. Don't even think about throwing this out. So that broth is full of flavor. It doesn't even have salt in it, but believe me, you need to use that. So remember that bacon fat that we saved up? We're gonna use this to fry the rest of our stew. It's heating up on medium heat. And now I'm gonna add some cherry tomatoes. These are like about 20 cherry tomatoes that I just sliced in half. I'm just gonna give this a quick toss. This smells amazing. So this is just 1 garlic clove. It was pretty large. So if you have small ones, use 2. I just gave this a smash. I'm just gonna saute this for like a quick 30 seconds or so and add the paprika. This is 2 tablespoons of paprika. Honestly, this is not Romanian paprika. I wish I had that, but you know, this is just your standard North American paprika. And now it's time for my sausage. I'll give everything a little stir and coat my sausage with my paprika mixture. This already smells amazing. You guys have to be here. So this is the rest of that broth. This is gonna be a deluxe stew. So my pot is coming up to a boil. So I'm just gonna nestle these ribs in the liquid. Did I say this is gonna be a deluxe stew? So I'm gonna pour in some more water so that we can submerge the ribs. Just move things around a little bit. Just make sure that everything's kind of like covered in that tasty, saucy broth. I'm also going to add like about 4 sprigs of thyme. You can add a little bit more if you want. I'm just gonna keep it light for a second. And a large pinch of salt. Okay, and after this, it's gonna be a fairly hands-off recipe. I'm just gonna cover this with a lid and leave it on medium for like about an hour. See you in an hour.
Okay, so we're gonna be making Zacusca, which is kind of a Romanian dip or salad. This is similar to the baba ganoush that we made for Turkey, or maybe the mutebol that we made for Syria. It's eggplant and red pepper, but as you can see, we're using orange and yellow because that's what we had. They taste kind of similar. As we've said before, these are just peppers at the different stages of their lives. We also have 2 jalapenos in here that we're adding for some spice. And just make sure to poke the eggplant a little bit before you put it in the oven. This will help it cook faster. And maybe flip them a couple times. The goal here is to get these to be kind of charred and soft because we're gonna blend them up, make them into a dip. All right, Chiftele de Ciuperci. I think was that flawless? Okay. So this is a really special kind of meatball because there's no meat in it. Chiftele kind of sounds like the word kofta, which is, you know, a ball of something that you fry up. Yeah. That's basically what it is. Yeah, it's a meatball, sometimes containing meat, sometimes not. And this is a mushroom one. So I've never had anything like this. I can't wait to try it. The first step is going to be to boil these mushrooms for about 10 minutes. The purpose of this is so that it doesn't soak up all the oil, because mushrooms have a tendency to do that. This will make them full of some water. The purpose of us boiling these is so that the mushrooms won't soak up all the oil immediately when they're thrown in with that. So this is 400 grams of mushrooms, so I'm gonna add some salt to the water, maybe 2 to 3 pinches. This will ensure that we don't have boring mushroom balls.
Our tochitură is almost ready to eat, you guys. This smells amazing. I'm really excited to eat this deluxe dish. It looks like our pork is thoroughly cooked. It should be really easy to just pull the bones out of the meat. That's what I'm going for, at least. I'm just gonna give this like a little taste. Ooh, that's really tasty. I thought that it might be a little undersalted because I went easy. But yeah, looks like the sausage did its magic, right? This is 1 whole bunch of green onion. So I just saved the green parts for later. I'm just gonna use the white parts and some of the green parts. Looks so pretty. And now it's time to add 5 cloves of garlic. If it feels like too much, feel free to add a little bit less. And this is 1 shot of white wine. This is an optional ingredient, but it adds like that nice tartness to that. I'm gonna give everything a nice stir. And remember that bacon we fried up? Bacon makes a re-entrance. You could have cooked the bacon along with this too, but then I added it in the end because I didn't want it to get all soggy. I wanted to get like a little bit soft, but at the same time, I wanted to retain its own texture. This smells amazing. Our dish is almost ready. All we need to do is, just let the liquid reduce for a little while. So now I'm gonna increase the heat to high because we're trying to get most of the liquid evaporated. I cannot wait until this liquid is all reduced. In the meantime, I'll show you how to make the traditional accompaniment. The traditional accompaniment for a tochitură is a polenta-like dish called Mămăligă. This thing is quite similar to an Italian polenta and equally as delicious. Traditionally, Mămăligă is made on a stovetop, but you have to cook it for 35 to 40 minutes and stir it continuously. Maybe I'll show you a stovetop Mămăligă another time, but today I will use my Instant Pot. So I have 1 cup of polenta or cornmeal, and this is 4 cups of water. That's a 1:4 ratio. I'm just gonna bring this up to a simmer. My cornmeal is starting to simmer, so I'm gonna give this like a nice stir. This would be a good time to add butter if you want to, but then I'll just save it until the end. And this is a very basic soft Mămăligă recipe. There are many variations of that, so you can play around with the fat that you add, or like, you know, you could even cook this in stock instead. But you know, like, I mean, my pork stew is so flavorful. I really don't think this needs anything. Okay, so this is a very quick polenta recipe. So I'm just gonna turn this to sealing position and cook it for 9 minutes. That's it, 9 minutes. And that'll give us enough time to fry an egg, which is the traditional topping.
Okay, so my mushrooms are done. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna let these cool off before we put it in a food processor. And our pepper and eggplant look pretty good. They're pretty dark. So what I'm gonna do is peel the outer burnt charred layer off of these and let them cool off. So as you can see, I'm peeling the outer layer of this off so we don't get any tough pieces in our dip. Second step for the Zacusca is to blend up the peppers that we roasted with the eggplant. Kind of break it apart if you want. I'm gonna do that. It's kind of gross. Okay. You can make it as rough or smooth as you'd like. This looks nice to me. And remember that this is not gonna be like a traditional Zacusca because it's not red. It has different peppers in it, so it's a different color. I'm ready to cook the Zacusca. We're gonna add onions to 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil that's been heating over medium heat. Just fry this for a little bit. Give it some time. I'm also going to add in 1 Thai red chili. I understand that this is not a typical ingredient of Romania, but we like a little bit of heat and our jalapenos weren't very spicy. Great, I'm gonna season this with some salt, just 1 pinch for now. We'll add a little more later. Right, I'm gonna add 2 cloves of minced garlic to the mix here. Saute that for a minute or so. My onions are beginning to brown a little bit around the edges. Woo! That pepper is getting me. Oh gosh, okay. So I'm gonna add in our tomatoes. This is just a can of diced tomatoes. I'm also keeping the sauce. Just cook that raw tomato taste out. Okay, so I've been cooking the tomatoes for about 2 minutes. The raw flavor isn't completely cooked out, but this is gonna cook for a while after I add in the eggplant and peppers. So attractive, such a beautiful color. I'm also going to add half a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm gonna put this on my back burner and keep it on low, and we're just gonna keep cooking it till we're ready to eat, maybe 45 minutes. And don't forget to keep stirring and add a little bit of water if you're seeing that it's looking like it's drying out. All right, so mushrooms have cooled down a little bit after being boiled. I'm going to blitz these in the food processor. If we had a bigger food processor, I might do all of this at once, but I'm just gonna separate it to be safe. Okay. Okay, so that was quick, that was easy. I'm gonna scoop this back into the original bowl and blitz the rest of the ingredients. But before you do that, make sure to squeeze out all the water in the mushrooms. You can use a strainer or cheesecloth. You just wanna make sure that these balls will hold together well. All right, onions, they're already minced up, but you just don't want too many big chunks in your mushroom balls. Chiftele de Ciuperci. This is 2 cloves of garlic that have been minced. And this is a few sprigs of dill. You can also use parsley or something like that. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna mix these together in a bowl. I'm gonna add 1 egg for binding purposes. Just smash that in there. I'll add a large pinch of salt because this has not been salted yet and these are mushrooms. You want them to have a little bit of salt. I have about a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so I'm heating some oil now because it takes a little while for it to heat. In the meantime, I'm going to make my mushroom balls. Chiftele de Ciuperci. I can't do it, dude. Okay, so I've formed a little meatball here. I'm just gonna roll it in these breadcrumbs. Okay, let's fry these up. Whew.
Good job frying them balls.
Thank you. I'm gonna do 4 at a time. Don't want to crowd.
Good job.
Okay, hi. I'm Hannah. Romanian food.
I cannot believe it. I feel like we keep outdoing ourselves each week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pat her on the back. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pat myself on the back because this dish tastes amazing. I mean, it was like super exciting for us when we actually just picked like a country that was not super popular, or rather I should say that the cuisine
Yeah.
of which was not super popular. More people should be eating Romanian food. So let's break into a, how do you say that again?
Okay, wait, hold on. It's Chiftele de Ciuperci.
So apparently it's best eaten with like some sour cream. So I have some sour cream on here. It's a small bite for Hannah.
Oh, for me.
Is it really good?
Yeah. And this is vegetarian. I mean, it's actually vegan, right?
No, it has eggs in it, but
Oh, lie. Okay. It's vegetarian.
but you know what? We actually saw this recipe that had rice instead of egg.
Yep.
And I feel like if you were to use rice instead of egg, you could make it vegan too.
Yeah. It's actually really good. And that oregano in there, perfect. Right? I love it.
Oh wow. Really complex flavor. I love it.
I love it. We made a side plate of pickles and sliced tomatoes because that is traditional, that is common. And we have a little side of sheep's cheese as well, which we have put on the main dish.
On the Tochitură.
Yes.
Try some with the hot sauce. Isn't it like really good?
Wow.
So this is just the hot sauce from our Spain episode. You've not seen it. That's coming. This is like a really good accompaniment for our mushroomy, salty, crispy keftalia. I'm so sorry. It's really difficult to pronounce for
Chiftele
me.
de Ciuperci.
Do you want to try some of our dip?
I do. I wish we had some bread with it, but we don't need it.
It's okay. So apparently, this is a really good dip, but at the same time, it's a really good relish for meats. Our dish is pretty meat heavy, so you need a little bit of relish with that. Wow!
It does remind me of the mutabal.
It's a little bit like the mutabal in the color. So in India, there's this thing called bangan ka bharta, which basically just means like pulverized eggplants. Pulverized eggplants, super delicious.
So good.
I have heard this thing, the Tochitură plate, being referred to as Romania on a plate. Because, you know, it's like very typically Romanian to have like a pork stew and like polenta with like fried egg on top and then the sheep's cheese. It's really incredible. Let me feed my beautiful wife first.
That's me.
It's a polenta and the sausage. And honestly, I've never really tried a Ukrainian sausage before. And it's delicious. I'm really happy with it. And even if I'm not cooking European food, I'll still buy some Ukrainian sausage.
We know it's not Romanian, but it did the job, and wow, it's really good. It's different than a kielbasa. I can't explain it.
I feel like I can eat this like once a week. I'm not exaggerating. Dude, seriously, this is so good. Tomato, chilies, and that egg, you know, that runny yolk, a little bit of that runny yolk mixed with the polenta, and the ribs are like so tender. This is one of those hidden gem kind of recipes. I mean, I had no idea, guys. I had never even heard about this thing before.
I think Martha and Pat would want this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, hi mom, hi dad.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Yeah, that's definitely right up their alley. This is so good. I've never had Romanian food. I will be having it again. Let's finish this food and see these people later.
Come back next week for Spain.